Hi, I'm Julie Thompson. Welcome to the Duxbury School Committee Candidate Interview. I want to take a moment to thank our candidate for participating in this interview and collaborating with PAC TV to bring this informational programming to residents and voters this election season. Let me explain the format. Today, Sean Dadzeton Foley will be interviewed. The candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce himself, speak about his background, qualifications, and why he's running for the office. I will then ask a series of questions related to local school issues. The candidate will be hearing the questions for the first time during this forum. The candidate will have up to 2 minutes to answer the questions. And after the questions, the candidate will have 2 minutes for closing remarks. Let's get started right away with the opening statement. Sean, you have 2 minutes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hello, my name is Sean Dadzeton Foley, and I have the privilege of running for school committee here in Duxbury. To the question of why do I want to run for school committee, I can answer with a simple reply of, I want to help. Since stepping into my classroom as a student years ago, education has been the truest constant in my life. After graduating college, I found rewarding experience as a middle school English teacher in Baltimore, Maryland, and from there developed strong understanding of supporting individual needs, often in the most difficult of situations, for all varieties of learners through educational nonprofit positions. Most recently, I've worked in higher education, supporting students in pursuing their passions for career opportunities, while still navigating the uncertainties and insecurities that can interrupt the process of learning and at sometimes surviving. These experiences brought me to Duxbury, where I currently work at Massasoit Community College as their Director of Basic Needs Security, and allows me to understand both the individual as well as the larger community. As a self-described continuous learner, I see technology as the greatest asset towards our students' development and successful growth into a constantly evolving workforce. And I'm excited to bring my background in educational technology to continue to bring growth to an already successful district. It is my belief that these perspectives are of value to this community and ones that I'm excited to share with you all. I look forward to supporting the students, parents, staff, administrators, and the larger Duxbury community, and I hope you'll support me with your vote on March 27th. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 1. School districts constantly face budget constraints. Can you talk about the layoffs that have happened, and in what ways do you see the district moving forward or stagnating under such conditions? You have 2 minutes.
Great. That's a great question. And I've had the pleasure of being able to see the town and school operating budgets as they exist right now. And I can sympathize with the approach of stretching the dollar as much as possible. Coming from a nonprofit world and having so much experience there, you're pretty much expected to think creatively, which is typically code for saying, make this work without any type of a budget. And to an extent, you can find those successes, but there's an ultimate cap to that. And at some point, you need those extra funds to evolve to that next level of success, both as a district and, showing that success for each individual student. When you throw in a global pandemic, that complicates things so much more. So ultimately, on my first review, our cost per student value needs to reflect the success that this district has gained an incredible reputation for.
Okay, great. Thank you. And now we're going to go to question number 2. Are there any district policies you would like to implement and why? You have 2 minutes.
Another great question. So for me, I recently came from supporting students through work experiences that reflect a global economy. We're confident in our student success within Duxbury, and we should be taking that same vigor and approach towards preparing them for life outside of Duxbury. At first, when I was tasked with finding those global experiences, it sounded like I needed to make contacts with outside countries and set up crazy partnerships for internships, which is not the case at all. Through these internships and even professional mentorships and other project-based learning approaches, students are able to gain industry experience or at least exposure, all the while identifying some professional type of passion and an understanding of these different industries that they may want to pursue. I guess for me, this was helpful in supporting students who recently stepped foot into higher education. And unfortunately, this time came at the expense of, a wasted semester where They were taking classes that didn't necessarily align with a passion that they just discovered. So identifying some of these passions through a grounding experience within Duxbury can help not only support the development of that passion at an earlier age, but also help that first semester feel like a little bit more of a stronger foundation. And I think knowing how many insecurities and adjustments that we've had to make over the past year, stepping foot onto a new campus can be a little discerning and a little uncomfortable. So providing that much more security and comfort in knowing what you're doing at this potentially unfamiliar place is something that I look forward to bringing a little bit more attention to.
Okay, great, thank you. And we are now going to go, excuse me one second, to your question number 3 is, as we all know, in the past 11 months, school districts have had to drastically change course due to the effects of COVID-19 on our communities and society. What, if any, impact do you think the experiences of the past year will have on the school district's strategic plan moving forward? You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Definitely the question of the hour, month, and year. But there's no denying some of the immediate as well as the longer lasting impacts that COVID has placed upon any school operating system, not just Duxbury. For me, one of the biggest issues that needs to be at least identified and at best addressed and provided resources for is the social emotional support of not only students, but faculty and family as well. There is a lot of anxiety that existed when schools shut down originally, and that anxiety has continued to this day. And in some cases, it's manifested itself into an anxiety of returning. Students are scared of what being back in front of other people may cause. They hear conversations about, family and friends being severely impacted by the impacts of COVID. So it's very easy to interact and come across those conversations of frustrations and troubling times, but there's also opportunities to capitalize on some of those successes. In some cases, distance and remote learning has supported educators and has supported learners in this new format. And I don't want the district to necessarily disregard this new approach. Again, as a professional who has a background in educational technology, distance and remote education is the inevitable future of education. And while this isn't the ideal situation to bring it into play, there is an opportunity to capitalize on some of the success stories that have been taking place.
Great, thank you. Okay, and now we can go on to closing remarks, and you will have 2 minutes. Sean, go ahead.
As I mentioned, education has been a lifelong passion of mine, and I see it from multiple viewpoints. As a teacher, an administrator, or curriculum developer, an educational nonprofit team member, and a counselor in higher education, my primary focus has always been readiness, whether that's helping a student become ready for the following school year, college, or their career. Or readiness can simply mean helping a student become more fulfilled, more confident, and less stressed. It's critical to meet students where they are and remove every barrier that we can find to success. Again, the most truthful and simplest answer I can offer you to why do I want to be on school committee is that I truly want to help. My expertise and experience offer valuable perspective, but my intrinsic desire to help my community is my biggest motivation. I'm fully committed to learning about the district experience of parents, students, and teachers, as well as their goals. I look forward to speaking with as many of you as possible, not only now, not only through March 27th, but days, months, and years beyond the election day, and to learn more about how I can support and advance education in this community. I look forward to seeing you out there or supporting me by your virtual vote on March 27th. Thank you so much.
Kristin, you are going to have 2 minutes.
Thanks, Julie. Hi, everybody. I'm Kristin O'Connell. I moved to Duxbury 7 years ago with my husband and 3 children. We picked Duxbury for the school systems, the community, and of course the beach. My children are in 10th, 7th, and 4th grades. My younger 2 started in Chandler, so I've gone through all 4 of the schools here at Duxbury. 2 of my 3 kids are on IEPs, so I do have some experience with the struggles parents may have with children learning that have disabilities. I've been involved in the school as classroom parent. In addition, I'm now currently serving on the Duxbury Middle School Council. Professionally, I'm a physical therapist with over 20 years experience. I took the year off to help my children with the remote part of their learning environment. I've worked in inpatient, home care, and I've also worked in a school system for children with disabilities. I'm running for school committee this year because I think there's a great need for more transparency, communication, accountability, and teamwork. I feel that we need a more data-driven approach to making decisions. I feel this year the teachers, the administrators, and the parents worked really hard. We just didn't work hard together. So I want to provide a diverse, open-minded, collaborative environment so that the teachers, administrators, and parents can work together to really create magic for these children. I feel I am the best candidate for school committee because I have a vested interest in this school with my 3 children present. Professionally, I know the importance of teamwork, transparency, accountability, and data-driven decisions. I want to use what I know as a parent and physical therapist to help Duxbury achieve their mission, which is to provide each student with the opportunity to achieve personal and academic excellence. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question 1. School districts constantly face budget constraints. Can you talk about the layoffs that have happened, and in what ways do you see the district moving forward or stagnating under such conditions? You will have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
I think the budget is definitely an issue, and as school committee, that's our main focus, is to provide a budget that allows Duxbury to continue with the robust education that we all, or a lot of us, have moved here to achieve for our kids. I think, again, it's about that collaborative approach. We need to talk to everybody that's involved. What are areas that maybe we can cut back on, and what are areas that we really need to push forward with? Is there a collaborative approach? When we talk about layoffs, I guess the main concern is classroom size. How can we be creative about classroom size? How can we ensure that we have the smallest classroom size so that kids can learn? The other thing they talked about this year with layoffs was reading specialists. And I know that they were able to get most of the funding so those layoffs would not happen. I think our kids are gonna really need support next year. My biggest concern is, what have we lost this year, both academically and emotionally? So I feel like the cuts really need to not affect the teachers. And if we have to get creative to ensure positions and talk about fundraising, I think our community would support that.
Okay, thank you. And now we're going to go on to question 2. Are there any district policies you would like to implement, and why? You will have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Just from this year, and this is really why I'm running, is because of everything that came to light this year. I think if we continue to need to do quarantining of children, I would really like to get one contact tracer for the school so that we can have a lot of consistency and just have one person to direct that the questions regarding quarantining, kids' health, if there's any issues. So that's something that I would like to push forward if this rolls into next year. I feel like the schools do a really good job with their policies, and I went through the strategic plan. I feel their mission, their values, trying to create the global and trying to create the well-rounded student, I think is really nice. I really don't have any other real policies I think I want to adapt, other than allowing teachers to really feel supported and allow parents to be present and engaged at the table.
Okay, thank you. Question 3. As we know, in the past 11 months, school districts have had to drastically change course due to the effects of COVID-19 on our communities and our society. What, if any, impact do you think the experiences of the past year will have on the school district's strategic plan moving forward? You have 2 minutes.
Well, I think what a very positive thing that came out of this year was the use of technology to keep kids connected when they're at home. And I think going forward, they'll probably look at that a little bit more. I think it was a really good option for kids to learn at home. If they're sick, if they need an extended stay out, it would be great if they can implement that policy, allowing kids to remotely learn via Zoom. I think that is fantastic. The other thing I think that was a phenomenal approach or a phenomenal thing that came out of this year is the Zoom school committee meetings. Someone I was just talking to, they said that 8-10 people used to attend the in-person school committee meetings, getting hundreds of parents on these Zoom meetings. So I would love for that option to be continued, to allow parents to engage in school committee via Zoom. So I think those two will be the big changes. I also think the cleanliness. And I know there's been a lot less colds and strep throat and flus. And I think it has to do with the cleanliness in the schools and, cleaning desks and having hand sanitizer available. So maybe adapting more of those. So there are some positives that came out of this year.
Okay, thank you. And now we're going to move on to closing remarks. You're going to have 2 minutes, and you may start right now.
Thank you. So overall, I feel like I may be the name on the ballot for school committee this year, but I represent the hundreds of parents that did not feel heard this year. I represent the hundreds of parents that, despite spending hours upon hours in front of the computer with their children, trying to keep them up to date on their education, still felt like a complete failure. I represent the hundreds of parents that are so concerned about the emotional and academic growth of their child and the toll that this year has taken on them. I not only represent the parents, but I want to represent the teachers. I want to represent the teachers who have worked harder this year than any other year to ensure their opinions are valued and heard and respected. Most importantly, I want to represent the children. As stated in the school committee's code of ethics, I will remember always that my first and greatest concern must be the educational welfare of the students attending public schools. This has been an unprecedented year, and I want to be part of the solution that helps our children recover and flourish. Please vote Kristin O'Connell on March 27th. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristin, for participating in this interview. We wish you the best of luck throughout your campaign and in the election. For our viewers, thank you for joining us. If you're interested in watching replays of this interview, please visit our website, pactv.org/elections, for replay times and online viewing options, including PAC TV's on-demand and streaming services, PAC TV Prime. And please make your choices heard by voting in the town election on Saturday, March 27th. Thank you and good day.